All right, here we are. So, welcome again to the Crushing Limits Unleashed podcast. We have a great guest tonight. He is the host of Fit Nation podcast. He's a coach, fantastic competitor, someone I definitely respect. We have Baidi Farl with us tonight. Welcome.
Welcome.
How you doing, guys?
Great, man. Great. How are you
Thanks for having
feeling?
on. Uh, as good as you could feel. About 5 weeks out. Uh, my calories are pretty low, about 1,200, which probably sounds insane, but I'm kind of used to it, honestly. So everybody's different, you gotta do what you gotta do to get in shape, and unfortunately or fortunately, that's what I have to do. But I'm just trying to enjoy it, honestly. I'm trying to enjoy every moment because we don't get to do this forever. So might as well make it fun, right?
Right.
Percent, man. And we listen to you all the time. And I really wanted to bring you on because, I feel like I resonate with a lot of the stuff that you say. You just pretty much tell it how it is. And, you stay true to yourself. You stay true to your morals. And I feel like you're interviewing, you're bringing all these people on, Nick and all these guys, Stu. And I feel like no one asks you really enough how you're doing. Like, what's the story with you? You know what I mean?
Like, good point. Yeah, yeah. Uh, you know what? I guess I never thought about it, but never thought about it that way because when I do the show, I kind of just want to hear what everybody else has to say for the most part. But sometimes I get a little shy talking about myself, if I'm being honest. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's easier to like ask everybody else questions. But yeah, it's gonna be a nice change up.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
let's go back to the beginning. Like I said, we probably listened to for real, maybe almost all of your episodes, which is pretty cool in itself. But
Thank
we
you.
want to hear the backstory. Let's start with how did you get it? How did you get into bodybuilding first off?
So the furthest back I could remember, right? My older brother. So okay, so my parents were born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, and they had, or at least my dad had my oldest son, his oldest son, which is my oldest brother, half brother, in Ghana. So he got into some trouble over there and ended up getting locked up in Ghana. You don't want to get locked up in some of these countries, man, because it's a whole different experience. So they basically just throw you in a hole and throw away the key, right? So you don't
Man.
want to be in that situation. Yeah, there's not, the I guess the whole system over there is kind of different. So yeah, he gets out. My dad moves him to America, moves him in with us. And when I saw him, I'm like, huh. Granted, this is my brother, but I had never met him before. And I'm like, huh, this guy looks different. He kind of buff, I don't know what that even is. I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. And he had all these magazines and stuff he would read. And it was probably, probably Flex, MD, those kind of magazines. And I picked one up and I actually saw Lee Priest, you know. I'm pretty sure I told Lee Priest this when he was on the podcast. And I saw a picture of Lee Priest. I didn't know it was Lee Priest at the time. In hindsight, I know now. And I saw it and I wanted to look like that for whatever reason. It resonated with me. I couldn't tell you why, but that moment I just knew I wanted to get buff for some reason. So I started working out with my older brother, just basic stuff like push-ups, sit-ups, things like that. And since then I've never stopped working out. I was probably like 8 years old. Never started working out since I was there, basically. you know. But that was just like calisthenics and stuff. And eventually I started using like a dumbbell my dad had, like a 15-pound dumbbell, and then it kind of escalated from there.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a long time, man. 7, 8 years old. That's earlier
I,
than I started. I didn't get into it till I was probably 13.
oh, I mean that's early as well, but
Yeah.
I can't remember a time that I didn't work out. So when somebody asks me when did you start working out, it's hard to give an answer because I never didn't. There was never a time I didn't work out. You know, So it just always was a thing in my life. You
So
know.
you see Lee Priest in the mag, you're like, I know I want to do this at some point. You
Mhm.
start training. At what point are you like, all right, I'm ready to get in a speedo. I'm ready to actually get on stage. Like I'm ready to do this the whole way.
Oh. Now that took a long time actually. So from that point, I was like I said, I was just doing calisthenics and like that, maybe a dumbbell. But then I actually got into martial arts, but even or not, it wasn't very popular back then. But I loved watching like Bruce Lee for whatever reason. I love Bruce Lee. I love the little martial arts movies. I loved anything that had to do with like some kind of fighting movie. I just loved it for whatever reason. So I bought a couple of books. My mom put me in like Taekwondo, but I don't really consider that real MMA. No disrespect to anybody who does Taekwondo. So she put me in that, which was cool, but it wasn't really my style. It was too. I didn't consider that real fighting. It was like I don't know, fancy showboat and stuff. So most of what I learned was from books. There was a couple of books that I had got, and I kind of started boxing, kickboxing, boxing, those kind of stuff. I signed up to a YMCA. Or my mom signed me up to a YMCA, maybe what 13-ish, something like that, and I did a little bit of boxing there as well. Um, this whole time I was playing basketball, football, the whole nine, and then yeah, I guess it kind of at first I wanted to train to get stronger, faster for martial arts, basketball, football, and then eventually I just started liking the training, actual weightlifting more than the actual sports. So in high school, once again, I played football, basketball. I started getting bigger, like more muscular than most of the kids, and kind of just fell in love with the gym more so than sports in general. So let's say by high school, I started watching like came across some videos. I started watching some Ronnie, some Jay. This was very early YouTube. I think most people weren't even aware that YouTube was even a thing at that point. Because this was what I graduated high school in 2010. So YouTube actually started, I think, 2006, but nobody was on it, right?
Right.
Yeah, nobody wanted, but yeah, I came across the video, started watching that. Then I'm like, huh, so did a thing called bodybuilding, people getting speedos and pose. This is kind of cool, but I don't think I want to wear speedos. So it seemed like a distant thought. But right, I'll say right after high school is when I decided that I think I do want to compete at some point. So I took like a really long, I guess, off season. And my goal is to get up to like 260 before I compete. And that's exactly what I did. I kind of just bulked for, I don't know how many years that would be. Let's say from ninth, you leave high school, let's say 18 to like 22. And then I did my first show, I was 22 or 23, I believe. That was kind of what transpired between my older brother all the way up to my first show at 22.
That's
Uh,
awesome, man.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a fun journey, but I just, in hindsight, it was really fun, but you always want to rush it. You always want to get to the end goal and be the big guy. But the funnest part of bodybuilding is that phase when you're a beginner and you're just getting stronger every single workout, adding muscle every single workout. It's just hard to live in a moment when you're young because you just want to get there.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Especially nowadays, like with people just want the instant gratification, you know?
Yeah. At that time, if you were into bodybuilding, it wasn't to be popular because it was the opposite. It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool to be the meathead back then. Now it kind of is. So maybe some people get into it for the wrong reasons, whereas I feel like we got into it just because we loved it.
100%. Yeah,
Mhm.
I did my first show. I actually started my first prep when I was 17, and it was like 3 weeks into it. I like really, really hurt my shoulder. So I had to shut down that prep. And then I eventually competed when I was 20, and I was going to school, and me and Kirchhoff were training partners. So like he was able to pretty much see the whole process, and then he got into it right after that. But it was like pretty much just what you said, man. Like we knew exactly when all the magazines were coming out. We either had the subscription or like we knew it was coming out like May 31st. I got to go to Barnes and Noble to get the mag.
Yeah, no, it was fun, man. It's a different time, but it was really fun, man. It was a nice experience. But it's always fun in hindsight when you think about how excited you were just to work out, man, just to work out or to read a magazine or watch a video. It was really fun, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like these guys these days are so spoiled because what Chris is saying is true. Like we had to. It was like a thing. It was like like something we would do every month. Like we're going to Barnes and Noble. We're going to this bookstore. And we're going to sit there we'd sit there for hours. I mean, especially when you had like not just like a Muscle and Fitness and a Flex, but like MD was like, the magazine was enormous. And like Chris is over here literally reading every single word. I mean, he's not like, we're not skipping pages. Like he reads everything. And so now
He's
these
a
guys
slow
are like,
reader too.
yeah. Well, and now with social media, they're seeing like you want to see like, okay, this guy's workouts, who's going to be in the magazine this month. Now it's guys are just posting their workouts. You can find, entire workouts on YouTube. Like these things weren't available, I feel like. And what he's saying now, I feel like influencers are a thing where it's like it's become somehow cool just to gain followers, and maybe they're just using it to like build a business where they're not actually even competing anymore. But I always like hearing a story when it starts with like, again, the magazines. I feel like interviews, like as we move forward with people, it's going to be, I found this guy on social media and I liked his look or whatever. And so I got into bodybuilding, where you just don't hear kind of the magazine story anymore. Like you pick it up and like, that's how it was for me. I feel like Chris has kind of a similar story, and you see someone and you're like, wow, I didn't know, somebody could look like that or anything. I'm curious when you started from those magazines, if you had guys that you kind of like idolized or really inspired you. And then have you had any of them on your podcast? Have you gotten to actually, have any of these idols be interviewed?
Yes, yeah. So the main one was Lee Priest was the first one, and I did have Lee Priest on the episode, which is I mean it's dope that he did the podcast to begin with, but it's even cooler that he was on there just shooting the shit with us, just like he knew us already, and he's been staying in contact, and I'll see him like or comment on a picture, and that's just like the funnest feeling ever, because that's what I did. Like you couldn't like or comment back then, but I definitely liked his picture. I'm like, I like that, on the mag, looking at a picture, I like that. I couldn't comment on it, but I could look at it, so it's dope that all these years after now, he goes and likes my picture, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Super cool.
Oh, but to go back to your point about being spoiled, you can have too much of a good thing, and that goes across the board as far as even information, even diet, information, training information. It's almost like it's so saturated, you would think it's a good thing, right? Well, you have access to all these bodybuilders and training it, but it almost does the opposite, because people, it's like a spoiled kid, right? You have all this money, which should be a good thing, but you can't appreciate it because you have too much of it. So same thing. You see all this information in real time from bodybuilders. You see their pictures every day and all this. So what happens is, for us, we see it and we're like, like back in the days, we would see it and be like, whoa, that's crazy. I like this guy. Nowadays, they see so much, they're tired of him. They're like, look at his stomach. Oh, too much stomach. Oh, he's fat. It's like, what? Because they have too much access now, to the point that they don't even respect these guys, which is unfortunate.
It's interesting too, is that having too much access, I feel like when you're younger, especially if you're younger and you're newer, like you don't know how to discern information between a good workout, a bad workout, a good diet, a bad diet. Like you're so brand new. And so I feel like what you're saying is true. And the only thing you could really do is hurt somebody, to have so much information, because naturally I feel like their mind will gravitate towards what they actually want to do. Meaning, you referenced when you came on your calorie intake and how low it is. Mm-hmm. And I would assume you're potentially doing cardio as well. And you add all this, what I'm saying is, you might, let's say you reveal that information on a post and people see that and they say, well, I'm not going to diet like that. I'm going to follow this guy who eats 5,000 calories still and doesn't do cardio and whatever. But what you said is 100% true. Somebody that's new wouldn't know that, is that first off, every prep is different, and you have to do what you have to do to get in shape, not what somebody else did. And so having all this information, I feel like, just skews people in terms of they're going to be biased towards maybe what's easier, a workout that's easier, a diet that's easier, or again, just maybe dismissing somebody that's doing something that's, quote, so extreme just because it's extreme. And so it backfires on them.
Well, that's the crazy part. That's why more information doesn't seem to necessarily help people, because it really doesn't matter, right? Okay, let's say we do a Q&A and we all answer these questions, right? Hey, what's your diet? What's your training? What's your cycle? And we all answer it honestly. Now the person who asked the question, why did he ask the question? Because he wanted to try it out for himself, but it actually does nothing for him. Because you may do my diet, 1,200 calories, and completely lose all your gains and look horrible, right? Because that's not for you. So at the end of the day, you have to figure it out yourself anyways. So all the information in the world actually is not really doing much of anything for you. Same thing, if you copy my training, nobody's body is going to grow perfectly even, right? So you copy my training, it might go completely opposite for you.
Yeah.
Maybe your legs are going to be too big, your back is too big, no arms, no, so all this information, and you think, why isn't it leading to better physiques per se? Because that's not how it works. You have to learn it yourself, or have a coach who can kind of expedite the process. But there's no way around it. You can't go around the process of trial and error and learning. It's impossible. You can't. There's nothing somebody can tell you or teach you to kind of just expedite the process. You still have to go through the rounds like we all did. So it doesn't really do what you think it was going to do just to have all this information out here. How do you ship through it? You just have to figure it out, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like that was one of the things that again, you go back to the magazines, and it's like it actually gave people exactly what they needed that were starting. Because if you look at somebody's workout, it was so basic. Like I remember this too. First magazine I ever pulled, Ronnie Coleman's back workout. There it was: deadlift, bent over row, T-bar row, true to exactly what he did in the Unbelievable video. You do those 3 exercises, you're probably gonna have a decent back. Then it's like you follow somebody else's meal plan, and they was super simple. Here's 6 meals: chicken rice, beef rice, egg whites, oatmeal. The basic foods, there was nothing deceptive about it. Eat this, you'll get big. It was easy.
Yeah. Isn't that like what we all did and just slowly made it our own, right? We all either copied Dorian or Ronnie workout, and slowly we realized we either need less volume, more volume. Maybe we needed more leg days, less, So being that basic was the best way to go about it, because it was something that it couldn't really go wrong because it was so basic. And then you work on it. But a lot of these nowadays, everybody's trying to be so complicated, maybe. So maybe it goes the opposite, where guys are starting off with these complex routines and, lying cable shoulder raises and, things that are not very basic. And it kind of goes the other way, in the other direction, right? So the best way you can learn is as basic as possible, and then you just make slight changes to that, and that's how you build on it.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and Stephanie, we actually did watch The Unbelievable last week.
Mm-hmm.
For I don't know, the millionth time probably.
Well, you can never watch too many times. I mean,
it's still just as good. Like it just doesn't get old.
It never gets
You
old.
thought I hadn't seen it.
No, I knew we watched it. It's just I thought that you might have missed a few parts.
Oh, you gotta watch it again. You just gotta keep watching it again. To be honest, I think my favorite one, I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one I seem to watch the most is the Kevin Levrone Maryland Muscle Machine.
M3.
I don't know why. Something about that video, I can't never watch it enough times. I don't know if it's some. Huh?
I don't think it's the one that I like. I'll send Chris like a video of Kevin was my favorite, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send him every clip. There's like a chest workout that I've probably sent him 700 times. I'll send it every time. I think it was a battle. I think it's a battle for the Olympia one. He's got like a brown hooded sweatshirt on.
The battle.
And he's like 2 weeks out, and I mean he takes 405 for like 12 on incline. Like it's just stupid. Like it's just stupid to be that strong.
What makes Kevin so, I can't put a finger on it. What makes him so likable and watchable? I think it's like a mix, because he's super hardcore and intense, but in no way does he play up to it. He's not yelling or spitting or sweating or cursing. He's kind of very calm, but then you see this unbelievable strength. A lot of people don't even factor in he's literally like 2 weeks out most of these videos, right? And something about the way he speaks and his personality, it's like, I don't know, it's captivating for some reason. It's just different. He's kind of strange, but in the best way possible. and he says these random things that just is interesting. He's like 100-pound dumbbell curls in your face.
In your face.
Yeah. And he said it like 4 times, but it gets better every time he says it. And you're like, I don't know why. That's so cool to hear. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
literally like him a couple weeks out speaking right there. Like that he doesn't
oh
even
yeah,
know where that came from in his mind.
no. And then I'm not gonna go curl 100 pounds, but it just gets me excited to go curl 50 pounds. I don't know. It's just cool. I mean, I think Kevin was just cool, man. He just and he was, a lot of people don't realize he was like what, 38 in that video, 39. He was already like, he's a grown ass man in that video, but he's not only is he flat benching, which is taboo nowadays. He's flat benching 4 5 plates with ease. It's
After a
crazy.
pec tear, he came back and he still would flat bench 5 plates after a pec tear. I remember him telling me. I remember him telling me we were at that seminar post Olympics. Like I couldn't even do a push up. Couldn't do one push up. 6 months later, 5 plates is back on the bar. Like,
well, imagine what kind of person you have to be to go under 5 6 plates, tear your chest, and then 4 or 5 months later you go right back under 5 plates and continue to do it for the next 10 15 years.
After
wild.
Weeder just threatened your contract too.
I mean, it's like maybe we won't do that, but it's still really cool that he did it. You know, I don't know. He was just different, man. That's somebody that you can't. I actually met him before, and he's the same Kevin. He's exactly how you expect him to be, and it's great. You know, I like that guy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so Kirchhoff was he was referring to we were literally in the third row, like dead center, third row in 03 when Coleman walked out at 287.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could smell the protan. We were that close.
Wow.
And yeah, the day after they had the seminar, Sean Ray, he hosted the seminar. So he had Marcus Rule, he had Coleman, he had, Sean, Melvin, all those guys, Kevin. And
Cutler, he had everyone, every single guy, I think,
wow.
that was relevant.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was just like, I think there was only like, they put a cap, like there was only 30 or 40 people tops, and that was it. And after that, because the room was so small, they had to put a limit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What did that look like in person, Ronnie, in 03?
When we get off here, I'll send you the pictures. You won't believe it.
See,
when he came out, when he came out, he literally, you know how he does his whoo in the videos, like
yeah,
he literally comes out for his single presentation and he starts yelling. He just gets into his front pose, and like me and Kirchhoff are just like, what are we watching here? Like,
yeah.
It's real.
It was like you could feel everyone become just absolutely just shocked at once, and then also sensing that every single competitor knew that it was second place and beyond from there for them.
See, I could imagine that just because I happen to be friends with a lot of pros, some really good pros too, right? But even some of the top amateurs, I'll see some of these people in person of any division, and I'm looking at it in person. I'm like, how can anybody beat this? It's just too good. And of course, they go and somebody beats them. And so in my head, I'm like, we don't realize how insane these athletes are, all of them. So the top dog of shit all time, imagine how crazy it really is, right? Regardless of what everybody says online, oh, well, his stomach is out or this isn't his best. You quiet all that noise. Actually looking at this person in person, close up, it's something most people could never understand. You can't even like there's no picture or video that exists that could ever capture that the way it actually looks like in person. It's impossible. You know? So
or what they go through. I mean, I heard you on a podcast, and I don't remember the context of it. It was recent. I think it was the one you sent me, Chris. So I don't know if you remember how recent that one was, but you had made some referencing. I don't remember the context about something about not wanting to spend like your whole day eating food. Like it just becomes this thing where like you make so much food, you eat so much food. So I have a question with that, but I don't remember that year in 03 what Cutler showed up to in terms of his size compared to Coleman. But I know that man has consumed more meals than maybe anyone alive, because he'd eat 10 times a day, and it's like the true like professional. And these guys that just are like that can eat. That's another thing. Like nobody understands what it's like to have to eat that much food, cook that many meals. You spend so much time eating. And so I guess I'm curious how your take of it is, just like the process of of off season and dieting and the rigorous of meal prep in general.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so everybody has their own battle, right? It's gonna be one end of the spectrum or the opposite. So for me, I guess I could say luckily or not luckily, I don't know which one. I don't have to eat a lot of food to put on muscle, relatively speaking. So off season, I don't really get past maybe 4,500 calories, 4,500 calories, which for me is more than enough. I'm full. But for some people, that's pre-contest eating, right? So where I have to suffer is the opposite, and when I'm dieting down. So sometimes in the past, I would get kind of like, jealous. Like these people can diet on 3,000, 4,000 calories. Man, I'm jealous. Until I actually started having some closer friends and bodybuilders who I've seen in person, what it takes for them to put on the size, and it's so miserable. I wouldn't trade it. I would rather be hungry. 100%. I would rather be on 1,200 calories hungry. I could go take a nap. I could eat more vegetables. I could drink water. I mean, I could do something. I could. There's so many things that I could do to just like quiet that down. But the amount of money you have to spend on all of this food, the amount of time, right? My days get really busy. So if I'm just eating all day, I would be very inefficient and I wouldn't be really able to make as good of a living as I do, right? So now I'm like, maybe it's a positive thing that I don't eat that much food, because watching these people, I'm like, yeah, that's not as fun as you think it is. So it's hard enough for me eating 4,500 calories, if I'm being honest. It takes a lot of time. I get sleepy, I get tired, the whole nine. So I can only imagine. I mean, my coach, Justin Compton, he's been up over 9,000 calories, and it's not I think that's worse. I think that's worse than dieting on 1,200 calories, honestly. And I could admit that because I don't mind, man. I'm tired, I'm hungry, but it's not that bad. I can't
Yeah.
imagine stuff on my face to that extent. I did it one off season with Compton before he really understood my body, where I was up to 8,000 calories, and it's not what you think it is. It's not very 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 fun to do at all. you know. So I don't know. It's gonna be difficult. Whatever kind of body type you have, whatever your struggle are, it's going to be difficult. As is life, right? Whether you're middle class, lower class, upper class, it's easy for somebody else to look at you and say, "Oh, you have it easy," but you don't. Nobody has it easy. A homeless guy can look at you and be like, "You're complaining about this, but at least you have a home." It never stops. So or somebody who with terminal cancer could look at the homeless guy and be like, "Yeah, you're living on the street, but at least you're living. I'm dying next week." And it's all difficult. There's no easy way out of life. So the sooner you understand that, the sooner you can appreciate whatever your situation is. It's all difficult. We all struggle, man. So that's just one of those things. Yeah.
So Chris and I are the opposite because I'm more like you, calories low, cardio high. He's little to no cardio, calories high, and we just kind of butt heads sometimes because we have
Ooh.
this debate where I'm like, oh, I'd rather like push the food. I'd rather have that,
Yeah.
dilemma than I'm hungry all off season too. So I mean, I think this past off season, when I was just kind of maintaining a weight I liked, my calories were between 1,400 and 1,500.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's pretty low.
And I was okay. I was satisfied, like, and I liked how I looked. We had to push them, like, we didn't even push them that much higher. And then, like, my weight went up, what, 6 to 8 pounds, like,
Yeah.
immediately. Like, my body just,
Yeah. It's
man.
insane how that happened, to the point that at one point I started like thinking, is there something wrong with me? I'm getting blood
Yeah.
tests and stuff like, is this no, is this normal? It's not necessarily normal, but it's not abnormal neither. It's just everybody's different, man. Like I'm like, is my body, do I have some kind of illness? I don't know. I'm like, this is I have too much muscle to be eating this little food, but I've talked to people who are similar. I've talked to Bonac, and most off seasons, Bonac is eating 3 meals, and
Oh,
growing.
wow.
And I'm like, huh. Same with Andrew Jack. So I'm like, huh. They all happen to be West African as well. So it could be a genetic thing. You know what I'm saying? So not that only West African people can do that, but just in general, it's really just your genetics, man. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. Whatever you have to do, unfortunately, you have to do it. I used to feel similar to the point that I used to be like, I would rather eat more food. It just makes more sense. I like, who doesn't want to eat more food? But if you really want to be good, you would push it so hard that it becomes miserable anyways. If you just want to coast and maybe be like a smaller person and just eat what you're comfortable with, you could, but then you would never be that good, you know? So if you really want to be your best, it's going to be difficult, no matter which spectrum it is. But it would be nice to be like, I don't know if you guys know Jordan Hutchinson, to be eating all this bowl of gains and stuff all prep long. That would be kind of fun, but you know, I'm sure it's hard for him as well.
Yeah, you got to do, man. Like, I hate when people say, and of course we've seen it with social media, especially too. I can't stand when people are like, "Oh no, Beatty, you shouldn't be doing that. That's too extreme." And it's like, no, there comes a time where you're gonna have to do extreme stuff, whether it's
Mhm.
cardio, whether it's supplements, super subs, it might be diet. Like, if you want to be good, like you were saying, you're gonna have to do extreme. And yeah, it might not be the healthiest thing for a few weeks, but it's like you're going for your pro card in 5 weeks here. Like there's going to be extreme if you want to be, great, right?
Especially when coaches say this, like, "Oh man, you don't need to. Oh, come work with me. You don't have to do that much." Like, what do you think we do this for fun? Like, you think me and my coach just decided, we came up with a number. Let's just do 2 hours of cardio. Like, it doesn't. He's only making me do as much as I need to. He doesn't want me to do 2 hours of cardio. But what do? That's like, it's like a last resort. It didn't get up to here till maybe like what, maybe 6.5, 7 weeks out is when that happened. But any chance he gets, if he can drop it a bit, he will, because it is a lot. But you're only doing what you have to do. If he has, like, Paul doesn't go over, I don't know, 20 minutes of cardio. So it's not the coach just being having a blanket statement. Everybody does about cardio. Like, they're only giving you what you have to do. So no, to the coach, that's the coaches who tell me that, or people who tell me that, no, you couldn't. You couldn't get me in shape with 30 minutes of cardio. That's my off season. Like, you couldn't, you couldn't even keep me under 300 pounds with 30 minutes of cardio. So that's just not gonna happen. It is what it is. It might sound strange to you, maybe because all your clients aren't like that, but it's so different. Everybody's so different. Actually, somebody, I posted my workout, and it was 2 working sets, 4 exercises for back, so 8 working sets. And the guy is like, he's a good friend of mine. He's like, "Hey, you think I can do that low volume?" I said, "No, because I've seen you train, and you don't have enough intensity and control on your sets to be able to stimulate your back in 8 sets. You just don't. You're very loose form. There's no mind muscle connection. You're just throwing around weight loosely. And I don't. You're 30 years old. If you're still doing that, you have no desire or intention to change it. So just keep doing your high volume, because you need that volume to stimulate your muscle, because you couldn't do it in 8 sets. You might need 30 sets, right? So, unless, I don't even expect everybody to train the same. I could have you try it, but some people just can't. Even if I had him slow it down, some people don't have that mind muscle connection. Some people don't have that intensity. You might just not have it. So I'm not gonna convince him to do less sets and put more intensity, but it's not real intensity. You could fake intensity, you could yell and drop the weights, but I just don't think he's capable of that. If he was, he wouldn't need 30 sets to begin with. You know what I'm saying? He's doing it because he doesn't feel anything until he does 30 sets. That's why he does it. So he probably needs to do it.
Yeah, we talk about training a lot. I mean, me and Kirchhoff, for 20 some years, and we talk about, some people just, they don't know how to like flip that switch before a set. So
Yeah.
it becomes, like you said, just this monotonous, to where you're like, all right, it's going to take 30 sets, and that's hard to really teach. Like, I had to tell a client a few weeks ago, I said, all right, the next set, I want you to pretend there's a gun to your head, literally. And it literally just clicked. He's like, he pictures the gun, he does his set, and literally he cannot do any more with good form. He
Yeah,
gets up from the leg press, and I'm like, that was a set right there.
yeah. I mean, like you you should feel like you have nothing left, right? I did a leg day the other day. I did 7 working sets total for quads, and I just laid there, and it was hard for me to get up. Right, uh, that's enough. That's more than enough. But there was a time early on where, like, let's say my early 20s, I couldn't do that, and I was. It's not even a strength thing, because strength is relative. I was very strong. I could, at that point, in my early 20s, I was squatting 6 plates, deadlifting 6 plates, and just because it was heavy doesn't mean I was connecting, though, because I would do sets and sets and sets of squats. If I was able to connect like I can now, it's impossible. If I was to do a set of even 5 plates right now of squats, I couldn't. I realistically probably couldn't do more than one working set, because after that working set of 5 plates, I'm completely done. But it took time to get to that point. So back then, I would do a lot of sets because I just couldn't. Like I said, it's not even like the strength, because it was heavy. I just couldn't connect. I remember seeing Dorian, and I'm like, Dorian has to be lying. There's no way he did 4 working sets. There's no way. How could you do 4 working sets for chest and grow? This is impossible. So I thought he was like, I don't think he was lying, but I thought he was playing into it to maybe sell a program. And now I'm like, no, you can. Not everybody, but if you have the right mindset and you have the right connection, you absolutely can. There's times by the time I'm 4 working sets deep, I could end the workout and I would grow. So that's just something that takes time. You might not even be able to teach it. I would always try to teach it. I would always try to show you how to get it done in the less amount of sets personally, but it's still gonna vary. Everybody can't do that. I mean, shit, Compton went to failure every set. Compton was also at his prime in his career at 25. So he was so young that he could handle a crazy amount of volume, all to failure. But don't try to be like Compton. Compton's a freak of nature. So he would do sometimes 15 sets, all to failure with heavy weight. I wouldn't recommend that. He knows what he can handle. I wouldn't recommend that personally, but to each their own. Yeah.
Yeah, we do talk a lot about Blood and Guts. I mean, that's of course another iconic DVD, and I mean, just the way you see him train, and it's crazy, just the mind muscle connection, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be able to take it there. Um, you guys are familiar with Max OT training? You
I've
ever
heard,
heard of that?
yeah.
Maximum overload training?
Hmm.
It's basically like hit training, like the way Dorian trained, but taken even further. So even less reps, and then everything is compound. They would do no isolation exercise. You guys ever heard of Jeff Willett and Skip LaCour? They were
Absolutely.
natural bodybuilders back in the day.
Yep. Yep.
They may have taken some over the counter pro hormones, but they were natural considering.
Dude, I
So
met
they
Skip.
did.
He looked insane. I mean,
They look the same. Now
yeah,
now that I'm old, because I used to watch them when I was a lot younger. Now that I'm older and I look at them, I'm like, they look they look almost natural. They just you shredded. You
shredded.
know, they weren't big guys. They looked very impressive. They were just really shredded and had really dense muscles. I'm like, now in hindsight, I'm like, I believe it. Yeah, but like I said, they did sell some over the counter stuff back then. Even with the company they were with, they sold like Novadex and I don't know, just random stuff like that. So, but yeah, they did Max T training, and I kind of copied that training. I just couldn't get it done. And what they had three to 6 working sets. I needed more at that point in my life. But if I was to train like that now, I think I would be good with 6 sets, man. That's pretty. Imagine how much like a 6 rep. I'll probably hurt myself if I try to hit failure with 6 reps at this point. I'll probably injure myself. But if I didn't, I would be able to stimulate that body part. It's pretty. If you watch them train, it's pretty fucking intense. But I think it's a great style of training if you're younger and able to connect well with your muscle.
I think
Yeah.
for like when I look at training programs, and I just had mentioned this to Chris, I think before you'd hopped on, but there's not a program that I haven't done. I've done the lowest of volumes, the highest of volumes, and I just feel like the low volume stuff, I've heard it like many times from somebody when I would work with certain people or just was connected much more in the bodybuilding community. Somebody would be like, I want to do, this low volume hit training. Dorian did it, and I always say, well, you're not Dorian. I'm like, you're not Dorian Yates. Like, but I always think too is like younger guys, and I always go back to younger guys because I want to see people like, I want to see people fulfill their dream. If their dream is bodybuilding, like I want to see that happen. I don't want to see you get hurt or fizzle out or whatever the case may be. And I look at some of these lower volume plans, and to me, they almost ask for injury when you're younger. Because when you're younger, you want to lift heavier. You're learning how to maybe do exercise. You might not have the greatest form. I look at programs that have done like, I don't know if you ever ran DC training, but like, I mean, we're talking, it's one set. It is one, rest, pause set. And the way that he had structure, I look back, I'm like, it's a miracle. I feel like some programs you survive sometimes. And I liked it. I like low volume. I like high volume a lot more. That's why I typically stick with it. But I remember going in and like his back bicep day, he'd be like, you do biceps before back. I'm like, all right, it's one set. Who cares? Preacher curls. Yeah. I had a 45 and a 25 on there. And I got, like 12 the first time, which isn't the risk, but then you rack it. Now you got to do a rest pause. Now I get like 2, and then you get one more. And it's like the fact I didn't tear my bicep doing this, stupid rest pause set. Granted, some of it's in the exercises that you select, but certain body parts, there's only so many things that you can choose. And so I look at like a HIIT program, like the Dorian type stuff, as like a safer alternative. You have a good workout, you have a good training partner, somebody that's spotting you, you select the right exercise. But I think that a lot of times the low volume stuff leads to more injuries. And then I even look at advanced guys, some of these guys that are so strong, and you work up to one working set of hack squats versus, let's say, the volume person that's going to do 4 or 5 sets, whatever. They can work up to that one set, and I see 10, 11, 12 plates aside. Like, I'm fine lifting heavy weights, but there's a point where I'm like, I'd be worried. I'd be worried that this is it. And one wrong move with that kind of weight, I mean, not to poke fun at people, but Fuchs, what's his first name? I mean, you make the wrong decision in a photo shoot or something, and it's like, it's over. That's it. And so the same thing can happen on any exercise.
Of course. It happened to Zach Khan. I don't know. I assume you guys used to watch his training as well. And oh man, the intensity. It was like Dorian meets Ronnie Coleman, the way he trained. He's in that dungeon gym. But he was doing more volume than Dorian for sure. And you watch it and you're like, wow, he's benching 6 plates. And you're like, how does he not get injured? And lo and behold, it's not if, it's when. He was doing hack squats. He had like 12 plates on there. This was back then. There was no bands. There was no, what I'm saying? He doesn't have a belt and wraps. He's just fucking hack squatting 12 plates all the way down. He tears both of his fucking quads off the bone. Career over. I mean, literally, he made some comebacks, but let's be real. It's just, his career's over, right? So it's like, I don't know. There's a balance, because I don't think Zach Khan builds that physique to that point if he didn't have that mindset. But it's the mindset. You don't actually have to do the 12 plates, right? But you have that mindset. It's hard to convince you otherwise. You see Hani, with Hadi, it's like back and forth. He's like, relax with all that weight, relax with all the weight. But the reason why Hadi is because he's a little crazy, right? Same with Ronnie. Why is Ronnie injured? The same thing that makes you good sometimes can go too far. So this balance of like somebody who probably had that best balance. Who can we think of? Maybe Jay. Jay trained really hard, and then he knew when to back off I feel like he backed off at the right time. People don't think about Dexter because he backed off earlier, but there's a video of Dexter benching 4 1/4. That was like one of his first videos, and Dexter is not a big guy. He was
I didn't know that. I've never heard that.
Yeah, because he was smart enough to change it. That is why he lasted so long. He was smart enough to catch it and change it early on. So in this video, he didn't turn pro till he was 30. So he was, I guess it wasn't that early. He was just older. He just turned pro older. So he was probably early mid-30s, and he was still benching heavy. But once he started, he changed it all the way. So everybody just remembers Dexter, machines, lightweight. But that was because he smartened up. It's like early on, you have to start off with maybe a little bit higher volume because you don't have the connection. Then you get to the point where you're really strong and you can go really heavy and not get injured because you're super young. Then you almost have to go the opposite direction again and start getting smarter. It doesn't mean you have to do a shit ton of volume, but you have to be smarter. If you don't get smarter, you will end your career early, and it's happened so many times already. So there's going to be a balance. Dorian did injure himself and retired due to injury, but even in Blood and Guts, he was still holding back a bit. I know Dorian can go even heavier than that if he wanted to, but he was trying to control the weight, so he was trying to be careful. Maybe he still could have been a little bit more. I mean, he'll admit it himself. I've seen him admit it that he still believed that training style was the best, but he wishes he would have backed off a little bit more closer to shows and as he got older. That's fair. That's fair to say because I mean that's how he trained. He can train like that, but there's a limit. He could have went a little lighter. He could have, there's ways to change it. So you have to be mindful that you're not invincible, and it's gonna happen if you keep redlining it. So yeah, you have to have the good timing. I think Ronnie could have saved his body if he started pulling back a little bit, as he got into his 40s and stuff as well. But
Yeah.
hindsight is 50-50, So
I think you're right though. Some of these guys, it's just the way they were. I mean, you weren't going to stop Ronnie from squatting 800 or deadlifting what he wanted to do. But I don't know many people that, I mean, I just don't know if the human body can handle however many decades of, 495 bent over rows. I feel he's probably done 585. I know he's done 495. It's like that's just, it's silly. 405 is silly on bent over rows. You watch him with 405 and I don't even, this is where I always tell Chris, I'll be like, Ronnie Coleman is a low volume lifter, because when he starts with bent over rows and does 225, 315, 405, 495, 405 is not a working set for Ronnie. The first three are warm-up sets. We really only did T-bar rows. 12 plates was the working set, like it's insane. And I feel like I've studied Dorian a lot too, and he did talk about his, he moved from squats. I think he went to Smith squats, and then you see the evolution, even the video. Now we're not squatting. And I think you're right, because I watched the leg press. The leg press set he does, he had more in the tank. He probably had 5 or 6 more reps, because we all know leg press is an exercise that you can just keep grinding. And he had obviously a legendary training partner, some unbelievable, historic quotes that came out of that man's mouth. But you could see his evolution, moving from flat bench to incline to eventually, I think he said Smith and the hammer strength stuff. But the injuries happened. Bicep tear. I think did he tear a pec? I don't know if he had a pec tear. I know he tore a bicep.
Yeah, I think he tore in 97.
Yeah.
And the bicep.
He tore his tricep. I think he may have torn both tricep, because he tore tricep one year he competed, but the year in 98, remember he was gonna do the show in 98. He didn't pull out till like 3 weeks out. He tore another tricep. I don't know if it was the same tricep, different tricep. So leading up to the show, Dorian was doing the show. He was dieting for the show. Yeah. He got sick. Then he tore a muscle, and he still tried to make it, and then he couldn't. So he might have tore both triceps. Definitely tore a bicep, and I don't know what else he tore. He probably had more injury that he doesn't talk about, but it's something that's nobody's invincible. I know we all watched Ronnie and thought he was invincible, but it's not how life works. Everybody's can get hurt. So that's something you have to be mindful for. Dorian did. I felt like there were a couple movements that, even with the barbell rows, he did 4 plates. He had way more in him. I watched that recently. He had a lot more in him. He chose to hold back sometimes, which is probably a smart choice. He probably needed to hold back even more, though, realistically. But that's.
Well, I think that's why deadlifts were at the end too. It was like he did, 4 or 5 lat movements. Then it's the rows. Then it's the deadlift or whatever variation he did. And even then, it was still a ridiculous weight. And those were the last 2 exercises I think he did, with rows and deadlifts.
Yeah, that was. I mean, yeah, I guess you could make the argument he did it kind of the right way, because he did use some discretion. It just, I mean, at that level, sometimes it might be inevitable with that amount of intensity, So,
yeah. Well, let's move into another topic. How about like coaching, Baidi? Like, obviously you coach. I don't know how many clients you have or how big of a team you have, but you get into this bodybuilding, you decide, competing is definitely for you. When did you decide to start coaching people?
That was kind of like a slow process, I feel like most coaches, it's a slow process. My first ever client, I was probably like at 19, but it was just a friend who was trying to do his first show. He never did the show, but he got it in amazing shape. Um, I did a show. I think when I got like a first influx of people, it's like, okay, this is the way I look at it. There's no right or wrong way to anything. I look at it as people should be coming to you. You know, I don't. You won't even see me. You don't see me market my coaching. I'm not posting. I have 2 slots left. Come guys, take these spots. But even though I have 2 openings, my prices are going down. That makes a lot of sense, right? I have only 2 spots, but I'm going to lower the price. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
But just in general, I don't do that because I feel like I'm a coach. If you want to work with me, you know where to find me. I feel like my work should do the promo. Maybe I would make more money if I don't know, but that's not why I coach. So I did this show in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is like a close knit community, a lot of like Caribbean born people, and I did a show. Everybody was there, families, everybody there, and I win the show. Well, actually, I won the heavyweight. I lost the overall to Vincenzo Masson. His big ass showed up randomly.
Yeah,
you know Vincenzo.
Yeah.
He was like probably like 22, but he was already like 260. you know. But yeah, so I did that show, and after that show, a handful of people reached out. They wanted to work with me. I'm like, okay, it was basic stuff. But at that point, it wasn't. I didn't know anything complex. I just knew basic body, but like just you eat chicken and rice. This is when you take this out. This is when you add this, but the truth is sometimes that's all you really need to do anyway. So it worked out. I had a girl, a physique girl, do the show the following year and won. I had a couple guys win. A lot of men's physique guys come to me for some reason. So I mean, people started winning maybe because it's so basic. So as that happened, I would get more and more clients, and I wouldn't even charge like most of these people because they're my friends from the gym, and it wasn't very hard work at the time because I was just doing very basic changes. So it just slowly grew from then. There's going to be highs and lows, right? This is how the world works. When things are quiet, you don't do a show for a while, people forget about you. You do a show, you look good. Oh, he must be a good coach now because he won a show. Well, I'm the same coach I was last year, but that's how people's minds work. So and then I have ups and downs. Right now, I'm at about 25, 30 clients. That for me is a good number. I'm not one of these guys who can manage 50, 60 clients. I can't do that. Like realistically, most people can't. They might force it. There are people who can. I know Compton could actually handle that amount of clientele. Blue, there's a coach named Blue Taylor. He could handle like 100 clients, but he literally does nothing at all besides coaching.
That's all he does, man.
I'm not that. That's not me. I'm not gonna only do that. So I'm comfortable with my clientele. That's part of probably why I don't do a lot of promotion because I'm comfortable with the number I have, and I'm not some world class coach. I think I know what I'm doing, and I've turned some people pro, and I don't know. I don't bite off something I can't chew. I've had people reach out to me that I didn't feel comfortable coaching, and I sent them to Compton. There was one guy, Jose Marte, I believe his name was. He qualified to Olympia. His coach just stopped responding. He knew me, so he reached out. I didn't feel comfortable, so I just sent him to somebody else. So just be real, be upfront, and be good at what you do. Right? Somebody asks you, well, how do you make money as a coach? How about you get good at it? Like what? Like do you want to trick people to make money, or like why is that even a question? Literally, just get good at it. How do you become a good surgeon? I mean, you could be a good salesman, but are you a good surgeon? That's the most important part. If you're a good coach, everybody else is going to do the marketing for you. They'll speak on your behalf. So you just do what you do. I don't oversell myself. I don't act like I'm something I'm not. If you want to work with me, I'll work with you and I'll do my best. And so far, my best has been pretty decent. So I like it. It's fun too. I feel like I feel more excited for my clients winning than I do for myself. I don't get emotional if I win or lose for the most part, but when my clients win or lose, I get very emotional. I actually cry. When somebody gets a pro card, it makes me cry. I don't, for whatever reason. I could feel the I don't know, for whatever, it gets me really emotional for some reason. You guys could probably relate with your clients. You seem more invested for some. It's weird, but you get so invested and emotional into it, you know.
Yeah,
Just,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Stephanie will tell you, it's like it's. I mean, sometimes it's like we care about the show more than they do. I mean,
it's super odd. It's super odd. You know, I'll be tense the whole time there prejudging. I'm like, I don't know why. Like you know if they're gonna do well or not for the most part, but you get so like weird about it. It's such a weird feeling when it's yourself. I feel like I can handle it. I can handle win lose. I can handle last place. I can handle first place. So I'm not too concerned with myself. But with them, I don't know what they can handle. You know, I don't know how bad it's gonna affect them. So it makes me a lot more worried for some reason. So I get really nervous when it comes to my clients. But I think that's a good thing. Yeah, some people say maybe don't get so emotionally involved. I could see the benefits in that, but I can't help it, man. You are who you are. That's how I am, I guess, and I think I'm okay with it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
that's one of those things.
Um, do you have a favorite division you like to coach?
Ooh, see, early
Is there
on,
kind of
uh-huh.
is there one that you kind of like, yeah, I really like working with figure girls. I really like working with bodybuilders, like that you get a little more excited about?
You know, early on, I thought I would be the most excited for open bodybuilders because I'm an open bodybuilders. But I don't think it turned out that way because a lot of times open bodybuilders have the biggest ego. A lot of times, so they're not always the most coachable. A lot of times they're the least coachable. You know, so I like people. I like people who stick to the plan, follow the plan, and you know they're giving it their all. I had a phase where I did well with a handful of female clients, so I got an influx of like physique, wellness, even bikini figure, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I don't know, like when a female is like locked in and wants something, they won't stop at anything to get it. It's different. Because you can say, well, a guy will do the same, but it's a little bit different. I think y'all can get even more obsessive about it in a good way, and you know that they're willing to do whatever the fuck it takes. And I kind of liked it. And then the loyalty factor. If a woman trusts in you all the way, they're not looking for any other coaches. They're not, you know, some of the open guys. Though I want to see what Milos thinks about this. I want to see. They ask 10 different people. It's like, who's if you got to pick, you got to pick one. You can't listen to everybody. But yeah, when for any division, when a female client is locked in and trust in you in the process, you have nothing to worry about. They're not going anywhere. They're going to tell all their friends about you. It's a great situation. Now, if you fuck up, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna hear it. But twice as hard too. So don't fuck up. And if you fuck up, own it. Fucking own it. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, surprisingly, I had a lot of fun coaching the female clients. It's just that I want to make sure I feel confident in coaching them. If I feel like things are getting out of whack and I feel like I'm questioning my judgment, I have no issue having them reach out to somebody who's maybe well versed in, you know, their bodies and hormones and stuff. You can't have an ego in a way that you have to be the know-it-all. It's okay if there's something I can't figure out, we could figure it out with somebody else's help, or I could even point you in a different direction. I have no issue, you know, I have no issue doing that at all. Females can also be the hardest to work with when it comes to controlling that kind of stuff, right? You know, whether
Mm.
it's hormonally and things like that. So the hardest, the most challenging ones are usually the funnest, right? So I think that might be the funnest. I've had a handful of men's physique guys that I really enjoyed working with as well because they just were locked in, they listened, they trained really hard. So that's not probably the answer people expected from me, but that's not the answer I expected from me as well. But that's just the truth, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. You know, it's my honest truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, between me and Stephanie, we couldn't agree more on that, man. Like,
Yeah.
so I've been coaching 21 years, and then
Oh
me and
wow.
me and Stephanie, you know, we've been together, you know, over 7 years. So she's been coaching alongside me, and she coaches male or female. So,
yeah.
we coach everything. And, we always talk about, this person, that person mindset. And it's like, just what you said, not all the time, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times, the females do have to work harder to get leaner, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're the ones that you could literally say, just go have whatever you want. And they're like, no, I'm going to like stick to the plan. Like, I don't even crave it. I'm going to stick because I want to win.
100%. Yeah. My longest client, in-person client that I trained, I do her diet too, but in-person client is my favorite client. Since I moved to LA, like pretty much the first week in LA, I started training her about 8 years ago now. And she leaves it, and she's not a competitor. She's just she's actually an artist. She does like artwork for like Marvel movies, Disney movies, the whole nine.
Yeah.
But when she's in the gym, and she didn't start off like this, I mean, the first like year, it was a process to get in that mindset. She hated it, but she knew it was gonna make her better, and then she kept showing up, and now she likes it. She leaves it all in the fucking gym. There's nobody I could push harder than that, and she doesn't give a fuck. She don't care if she's sweating, she's drooling, and she's so like feminine, like the way she conducts herself. You wouldn't think that would be her gym demeanor. It's like a complete contrast, but it's fucking great. It makes it even cooler to me that like when she's in this zone, disregards everything else. Her nails are all done perfectly and stuff, right? But she's giving in everything every single set, and it's really fun. And we go to Gold's Gym NoHo, which is like the gringiest Gold's Gym you could possibly go to. Sometimes you bring people there like, oh, I don't want to train here. She don't care. She's there to work, and it's just I think it's great. Like just she gets me hyped for my workout. Just seeing how hard I could push her, no complaining. I don't even give her much rest. She has pretty good endurance, so we just go set after set after set, and it's pretty insane that she could even tolerate that with no competition in sight. Because realistically, if there was no competition in sight, I could push myself, but for 8 years straight, pushing myself that hard with no competition in sight, I don't know. That would be hard to manage mentally. I might just be like, I don't feel like going today, So
Mhm.
you gotta definitely definitely like seeing that.
That's awesome, man. That's incredible.
It's fun. Yeah.
What would you say, if you can think of just whatever comes to your head, what would you say your funniest coaching moment would be? Whether it's like someone, whatever someone was doing with their protocol, their diet, something in the gym, like something, whatever pops in your head.
I love these stories. I absolutely love these stories. Chris will send me like all the ridiculous things that occur, and it's
Man,
great.
I mean, I guess there's good funny and bad funny, but that's a good question. Let's see, which avenue should I go? Like good funny, bad funny?
Let's go good funny.
Okay. I had a client in India that I was coaching, and he was cutting. He was trying to get lean, shredded. He wasn't going to do a show. He just wanted to get shredded. And I kept, at one point I kept upping cardio, chopping food, upping cardio, chopping food, and the guy wasn't getting in shape, to the point that I had to start cutting into his protein, which is it's not what you want to do as a coach. The last thing you want to do is start cutting calories to protein. But hey, shit, you gotta do something. You're not getting any leaner. Then I was like, okay, send me pictures of your meals, every single meal. I want to see it. And then I'm seeing it, and then there's so much sauce on on his chicken. I'm like, what? Wait, what is this? And it's all kinds of like I don't know the sauces by name, but like some I guess traditional Indian sauces, but these are like thick sauces, and he's drenching all the seasoning and sauce, and I'm like, oh no, we can't do that, right? Once we cut that out, the weight starts dropping. I don't know what's in these sauces, but that can't be good. Like if something is that drenched to the point that it's red or green, and you might have to be careful. Now, if you're losing weight and getting shredded, I don't care. Keep doing it. But yeah, that was one of those things. And things like this happen. And then I'm like, why did I not ask him for pictures faster? Why did I, because that was the last thing I didn't even think about that. Like it could be that bad. Cause I'm like, what's the worst? You put some spices. I don't care. But yeah, he was really holding back his gains from that amount of spices. And This has happened a few times to me, not the same story, but I also had another client, similar situation. He wasn't losing the weight. Send me pictures. This man could not send me one picture of any meal that was actually on the plan, not one for the day. It's like meal number one. Okay, this is my meal number one. I was like, wait, I said oatmeal and eggs. What's that? Oh, this is protein pancakes. This is quinoa. Okay, well, that's not on the plan. Okay, cool. Let's see the next meal. Wait, this is not chicken and rice. What is? Oh yeah, I went to Chipotle and what are we doing? Oh, same thing. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. So some people think they're following the plan, but they're in a whole different world. I'm like, for that whole day, not one of the meals was anything on the plan. He's just like looks at the meal and just creates his rendition of some kind of meal that he thinks fits the macros. And it's like this is not how it works. You know, I wouldn't even be as upset if maybe he went and maybe bought it store bought, but waited out. I don't know, something. But just randomly just getting a meal is he's not even following the plan at all. And I thought that was insane. I'm like, you're paying me though. Like what's you want to just pay me to just follow your own diet? I don't. So sometimes it's hard to understand what goes on through people's heads, man. But that's you're always gonna get one of those like that. You know, you're gonna have a few clients who just they hire you. I don't know for what, but they're just gonna do their own thing. You know what I'm saying? I've had a lot of people leave me over like cutting down their cycles, taking less stuff, and they're just not having it. They're taking all this gear and look pretty unimpressive, but they just want to take more gear. They want to hire me so I can give them more gear. Yet the gear that they're taking all this gear and nothing is happening, but they just want more. So you don't need a coach. You just want to take drugs. Go take drugs. You don't need me for that, you know. So it can be really strange, man. Some people, it's hard to understand why some people do what they do, but it is what it is, man. Everybody's different, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't even count how many stories, but I'll share with you probably my favorite one. And it's like a good funny. It kind of just goes into kind of that mindset that we're talking about, just like so locked in. So
Yeah.
8 years ago, I had a
Well,
client.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
Before you go, I have about 5 minutes before I have to head out. I do have
sure.
an appointment. I didn't tell you that though, but before we started, I apologize.
No, you're good,
Um,
man. Yeah, I'll
um,
share it. We'll wrap it up for sure. So 8 years ago, I had a client. She's training for her first bikini show. And like I train her once or twice a week in the gym. It was the only time I was personal training, like in my career. So we go to the gym, I train her, she pushes hard. I can already tell like she's gonna be an incredible competitor because she's just so locked in.
mhm.
And she's on a good amount of food. We started the typical, 20 weeks out for a female. And finally, like we're like 5 or 6 weeks in, and she's like, Chris, man, I'm just having my stomach's just kind of bloated. It's been bloated for a long time. I should have told you. And it's just after meal one. And I'm like, all right, so eggs and oatmeal, or you can do eggs and rice. She's like, well, I've been doing the eggs and oatmeal. And I'm like, okay, well, like, what have you been doing? And she's like, well, just what you said. She's like, I measure out, my half cup of oatmeal, and then I crack the eggs on the bowl and I put it over the oatmeal. And then I just kind of like stir it up and she starts eating it. So she's eating these rolled oats completely dry. And she's like,
Holy shit.
I mean, just the whole eggs cracked over the rolled oats, just like crunching. And she's like, it takes me 45 minutes to finish the meal.
Oh, I mean, there's some positive to that. It means she's hardcore. It means she's willing to take it there to get in shape. But obviously, that's not going to work doing that. But I mean, in some ways, you can use that to your advantage. Okay, now I know that she's that hardcore. That's going to be beneficial. You just got to be very literal in what you say from now on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, Shayna, you can cook your oatmeal, you can cook your eggs.
So actually, I know I said I got to head out, but
Yeah.
because you said that, I remembered another client story. There's a client that I used to see him at the gym all the time. The guy was pretty heavy, just body fat. I mean, he worked out. I would watch him. He work out really hard as well. and he was about 320 when he got with me. He gets with me. I get him on a plan. He's just dropping this fat so fast. In no time, he shredded, and he had a good amount of muscle under there. I'm like, that's odd. How was the guy so overweight, but then he can lose body fat this easy, and he has so much muscle under there? And I asked him, I was like, please don't take this the wrong way, but how did you actually manage to get 320 pounds with that much body fat? Like, what were you having a lot of junk food? He was like, no, I was following Ronnie Coleman's diet plan. So minded when he was shredded, he was like 180. So a 180-pound guy of muscle was eating 600 grams of protein and like 900 carbs for I don't know, for who knows how long, for years maybe. So it was like he built the muscle at some point. It just the leakage of the extra calories was so much that he just put on a bunch of body fat. But the discipline was there, the muscle was there, the training was there. He was just granted, I don't think he's diagnosed or anything, but he definitely, how do I say this? He definitely maybe had some kind of, he was maybe a little on the spectrum, just slightly. Maybe kind of I don't know that what to say. Maybe slightly autistic. Maybe it's something socially is a little bit off, but not too far gone. Just there's certain things he doesn't catch. He's very literal. I would watch him do an hour of cardio with no phone, no headphones, on a stairmaster, straight face, just looking straight ahead. And I'm like, holy fuck, that guy is different, you know. But in the best way possible, one of the nicest, kindest guys, good souls I've ever met. He was definitely different. Anybody who can eat that much clean food to the point that they put on 100 pounds of body fat, man, you a different breed of person.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, this has been great, man. This has been a good chat for sure.
I got to get back on. Whenever you guys want me on, I'll be down.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, we'll for sure get you on after the USAs. Obviously, you know, we wish you nothing but the best. I don't say good luck. It has nothing to do with luck. So
thank you so much.
We'll definitely be.
I think I appreciate.
Yeah,
you know what's funny? I actually like that you said that. Sometimes I don't like the good luck sometimes because it really has none. When it comes to bodybuilding in particular, you just work and you keep working until you win. So good luck to me. I know what it's meant to mean, but luck, I don't think luck has any place in this sport. You just do your thing. That's it. Do your thing, you know. Thanks for having me on, man. I definitely enjoyed it. I felt, I'm not gonna lie, I felt pretty shitty today. Like before I got on, I was like, uh-oh, it's gonna be hard. But once I warmed up, we started talking. I kind of got into the zone. But you know how it goes in prep. You're always gonna feel a little shitty, but sometimes you have to force yourself to do things anyways, and you feel better. You do feel better.
Well, yeah, we appreciate you, man, for sure. And like I said, go crush it. We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to meet y'all as well. Thanks for having me on.
Man. All right, buddy. Until next time.
Take care.